afternoon, everybody. I am none other than Fusion Phil's evil twin, Bill, over here at JIT CAD Cam this week, and I'm going to be covering how to use configurations inside of Autodesk Fusion to make things like the parameter vise that you may or may not have built already, which I would highly recommend. If you guys haven't seen a parameter vise video, we have tons of video out here as well. You can check that out. Maybe somebody will throw it in the chat window. Noah out here wondering who I am. Like I said, I am Bill, Fusion Phil's evil brother, as you can tell by this mustache. And for you guys that don't know, this is a 100% real mustache. It is not a glue-on mustache, but let's go ahead and dive into this. I'm super excited about this because anytime we can make your guys' workflow better, make it more simple, make you actually create and build your jigs and fixtures with more speed, we're always happy to see it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. It looks like I updated OBS, which didn't update my Stream Deck. So I'm going to manually switch my screen. As you guys can see right off the start, again, I can't stress this enough. If you haven't seen my content on how to build a parameter vise, you are going to need to start there. And the reason for that is I've already assembled and actually set this up with joints, the ability to use, you know, a dual action or a self-centering vise. Now, the key element here, and this is my frustration long before configurations, is I would have to build out several different models. And what I mean by that is if you guys notice, I can go through here right now and I can manually turn on and turn off different jaw kind of configurations, right? Now, the bad news about this is this all resides in one file. Now, when you go to copy and paste this in your jigs and fixtures and use this, it can get very messy. So let's set up a configuration to be able to quickly toggle on and toggle off our different jaws. So how you're going to do this is we're going to go up to configure. Now, I've technically already done this, which is why you see I have the name jaws in. I'm going to add another one, and we can rename these again, jaws out. One more for maybe soft jaw. And with that, I now have the ability to control this in any way I want. So what we're going to be able to do is we're going to quickly be able to jump through our configurations, as you can see. But over here on the left, we're also going to be able to do this in real time. So what we're going to start with is jaws in. Now, what I need to do is I need to tell the software what it is that I'm trying to control. So if I actually go over here to the left and I left click on one of these, I can now control visibility. So as you're seeing, that is now populated on the left or on the right. So again, as if I go to the right jaw in, again, turn on visibility. What this allows me to do is to control when they are turned on. So again, at the simplest and highest level possible, as you guys can see, if I jump down to jaws out, we haven't set any visibility or changed anything. But just like that, we have quickly been able to turn on and turn off those vise jaws. Now, one thing I am going to recommend, you guys are going to notice, because of the way my component structures are on the left, and I say components, this cannot be bodies, although we could do some cool things with bodies, as you guys will see. I'm going to go ahead and show you that your organization is going to be the number one thing when it comes to any of this. So if it was me out there, this is where we're going to go ahead and say new component. And what I'm going to call this is jaws out. And the whole idea is I'm going to take both my left hand and my right hand jaw, go ahead and drag it down and drop it in that area. Now, I could go further than that if you guys really wanted to, and I'm going to do this in real time. Again, new component. Maybe that component is jaws altogether. Now, I don't know if I would recommend this method, but as you guys are seeing, again, we're going to go one more component. This might be soft jaws. All I'm doing is, if you guys have ever heard me say this, is I am basically building out a file cabinet when it comes to this type of stuff, right? So again, now if I wanted to do my soft jaws, again, we have a left and a right soft jaw. I can go ahead and grab those, throw those in my jaws folder. We're going to go ahead and revert position. But again, you could have all of your jaws in here. Again, building out your layers or your different types of templates. But the idea is still the same. We go back up to configure. Let's go ahead and activate the entire assembly. I'm going to go down to the jaws out area. And now I could go to where we did jaws out, right? So this is a assembly now. So again, we have our individual parts. I can go ahead and click all of those and visibly change all the jaws out in one shot. So again, we're going to do that one more time with all jaws now. What we actually wouldn't do is all jaws. We would do just the soft jaws. Again, visibility. Now we can turn on and turn off the different types of settings here. So as you guys are seeing me do, you'll notice that we never organize these two into one component to make it easy, but that's where we're getting that kind of grid layout and change here. So again, now that we've done that, if I jump between jaws in and jaws out, in this case, I picked the wrong thing for jaws out. So let's go ahead and see what I did wrong. They are there. However, they're not turned on in the design tree. So again, we may need to set visibility or toggle on, toggle off, all of those based on our view. So again, let's go ahead and show all components. And as you can see here, again, we could go now to soft jaws. Again, this is the trick and the fun of doing this at the end of the day is the visibility is only the top level component. It's not the individual components. But that leads me into the fact that we could go in and delete these at any time, and we could add those back in. So again, we're going to go back over here. We're going to say I want visibility. Again, visibility on this guy. And we're just going to work down that list, right? So again, we'll get down to the very bottom. Now, if you are an expert out there that utilizes components quite a bit, go ahead and feel free to leave me a comment or leave me a suggestion in chat. Or maybe Autodesk is watching this video. Autodesk, why can't I control the visibility at the top level of an assembly versus the individual components? But as you guys are seeing, again, now jumping from jaws in to jaws out, as you are seeing, those are populating on and off as needed. Now, keep in mind that guy is turned off here. So let's go ahead and hit close. This is always the fun of doing this stuff live because we have a lot of fun that happens and things turn on / turn off. And some of that could be attributed back to yours truly as always. So I'm going to turn all components on and let's go through and see what we have. So now we have jaws in, jaws out, and then we also have soft jaws. So I think I have some overlapping things in here. I definitely do. We're going to go ahead and go back to configure one more time. Left jaw in, left jaw out. We have jaw out, jaw out. All right, there we go. So for some reason, again, blame this on the way I built this out. I already see my problem. So we have a jaws out area, but yours truly, seeing how this is an assembly, there's a lot of extra components in here, and odds are we've doubled up things in some way, shape, or form. But let me know, does this look like something that would be handy for you guys out there to be able to quickly swap between your different settings and your different setups inside the software? I'll go ahead and give you guys a few minutes in chat, but let's go ahead and jump over to another setting. So again, what I'm going to do is here, we're going to go ahead and turn off the left jaw in, right jaw in. We could turn off all jaws. Again, nothing more than being able to toggle between your setups for your different jaw configurations. Now, from that, let's go look at a Curt DX6 Vise and get a little more technical than this, right? So as you guys are seeing, again, I have my floating jaw. I have my base. Parameter video does wonders here. But from that, I'm also working with a set of hard jaws and possibly a set of soft jaws, as you can see. So again, there's a few other things in here that you guys aren't seeing. And to understand the parameter tree, we're going to go ahead and go to change parameters. And what I have here is the ability to set a jaw spacing in this case. As you guys are seeing, I went ahead and typed in 1 inch for jaw spacing. Let me get you guys a little better view here. And what I'm doing is I'm controlling the distance between those two jaws. So again, we go down here, we say 2. Now I'm utilizing a joint origin here to set my part depth as well. But let's just say, for example, we wanted to go 1 inch deep. Again, this is nothing more than what the parameters video would show you guys, but we can take that one step further when we set up our configuration. So again, we can configure this part. Now I'm going to configure this part based on the hard jaws. So again, I'm going to set visibility for the hard jaws themselves. We'll make those visible. We'll add another configuration, once again, renaming that. And this will be with soft jaws. And again, we could set that visibility at any time. So we'll go in and we'll set a visibility here. And now we need to toggle, of course, the differences between the two. So when I jump between these, so it looks like it does work to some extent, guys. It's just yours truly screwing it up on the other side. But as you're seeing, when I jump between my hard jaws and my soft jaws, in this kind of situation, we're swapping out the jaws altogether. Again, this is now kind of a setup 1 on parallels move versus a setup 2. But it gets better than that because I can easily now plug in my parameters here. So if I wanted to do my spacing and my part depth, I can get much more fancy with this. Now, I did break this model when I was test running this morning, but the idea would be is that you could set yours up to control your jaw spacing as well as your part depth here when you have a solid piece of stock. Now, what I want to show you though is the neatness of this, because if I had soft jaws with a 2-inch gap and a 1-inch depth, but then I want to add another version of that, I can simply come in and hot swap out my parameters now as well. So again, let's go ahead and move this up to 0.5 in this case. Now, again, 2-inch spacing, 1-inch depth apart, 5-inch spacing, 1/2-inch depth for my part. But where this gets more and more powerful is once you build out, and I'm not going to tell you guys to go build out a bunch of these, but you guys could build this out to get kind of a small library utilizing the configuration. Now, what's important about this is when we pivot and we start to talk about the fact that how do I now use this in my actual setting up to run my parts? Well, the neat thing is if I go ahead and jump back here, I actually have, oh man, I should have brought it over, but we're going to do this. You know what? We're going to do this in a different way. We are going to spit these out as if we were going to utilize them in a normal workflow, right? So the very first thing I'm going to need is a vise with hard jaws. Now, once I have that hard jaws actual configuration selected, I can just derive this out. Now, what it's asking me to do, of course, is save it. We've made some changes, done some things on my end. The idea would be is at this point, you probably wouldn't be making those changes. But what you're seeing right now is it's asking me what I want to dump out. Well, I want to dump out this entire file that's currently set. And with that, if you guys didn't know, the cool thing about Derive is I can actually go insert this into an existing design as well. So instead of dumping this out to a blank file, bringing it in, jumping around all over the place. However, for the sake of what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and just throw this into, you know what, let's go ahead and put it in an existing design just to be safe, right? So as you're going to see me do, we're going to hit OK. And if I had a part here that we could go ahead and do something with, so we got this billet L bracket. Oh, in that case, we're not going to be able to do it because that part was boogered up. But again, we'll derive out the entire assembly. Give her a few seconds here. You're going to see this push out again into just a separate file for me to be able to utilize and build out or change my parameters. Now, again, we're hanging up here. It's a little bit of an internet thing, as you guys can imagine, because we are pushing this back to the cloud. But right there is my hard jaws. I can break this link at any time. So again, you could go in and break this link. And then with that, I can now say this is setup 1 Vise, right? As you guys are going to see, based on that information, it's already been toggled on, toggled off based on what I need. Now, the same exact thing can be a rinse and repeat. I go back to my workholding. I'm going to swap out to my soft jaw configuration. And then again, we could derive, pushing this out. Again, we're going to grab that entire assembly. Now, you could limit what you grab in the assembly as well if you guys didn't know. So instead of maybe grabbing everything in one shot, I could go through and say I want the base, the floating jaws, and now just the soft jaws, which what is going to be left behind is the hard jaw size of this. So again, we're going to go ahead and dump this guy out. Now, this is where I failed. I should have inserted this into my other one. But the idea is still the same. This is kind of a rinse and repeat procedure that once you use the configurations to hot swap not only your component visibility, but you can also be hot swapping anything and everything from the dimensions that control your stock size. Again, if you're somebody that uses more of a standard stock size, aluminum extrusion kind of comes in a certain increment for the length and the width. Now actually, I guess the length and the width. But the height on the other end could be something you could control outside of that. So again, as you guys are seeing here, we've dumped this out. It's actually put it as 3 separate components all at the same level. But just like that, I would have the ability to, again, quickly configure whatever vise it is I need for my setups and simply insert them into whatever I was doing. So here, we'll go ahead and hit save on this one. MFG part A. And then again, as you guys are going to see, we could go back one last time. Let's say we're going to go ahead and take this guy. We're going to derive it out. Again, you got to save it. We've made a lot of changes here so far. We're going to go ahead and derive out my entire vise. Oh, and again, I missed it. I didn't hit insert into current design. But as you're seeing, we're going to go ahead and give this a minute to do its thing once over, and then I'm actually going to insert this one into the other one. Now, I do see some people out there crazy. It would be, then my work holding folder wouldn't get filled up with the same Vise in different configurations, 100%. A few other things I've seen people do with this. Now, if your workflow, and everybody's workflow is different, but if your workflow is to say go from setup 1 to setup 2, and you're always say going from a set of parallels into a set of soft jaws, you could build out a configuration file that allows you to swap out your vices on the fly, also what vice is holding where. There's a million different ways I've seen this implemented so far, and it is crazy to say the least of how well it works once you truly iron out all the kinks. And with any growing pains, we know it takes time. As you guys can see here, nonetheless, did I lose my internet connection? You go ahead and check here. I did kick my Ethernet cable by accident, but I think I've hung up Fusion. There it goes. It spit it out. We didn't want to spit it out. What we actually want to do is we want to derive this guy out. And we want to insert it into an existing design so that we can cover that before I leave you guys to it. Now, keep in mind, you are going to want to make sure that you carry those parameters over as well, in case you are setting up those parameters for stock control or part depth, things like that. So again, let's go ahead and go through here. Workflow Wednesday, configuration Vise. Here's my part for manufacturing. Much snappier, as you guys can see. And just like that, I could now do the traditional workflow of either moving that around or utilizing something like a joint, or my favorite so far, the new ability to constrain components. But just like that, you guys are seeing that we could go ahead. We've dumped it out. We've now moved it in position and get our setups put together much quicker. So as you're going to say, Dylan out there is already saying he's going to spend way too much time playing around and making random new vices. Yes, I've heard that. I've seen that. I hope this, guys, gives you a really good foundation to get you down that path. Now, I'm going to go ahead and hit you guys with it. You guys know it's not what you know, it's who you know. I'm going to try to keep this video pretty short and sweet and to the point as always. But if you guys like what you saw, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Get notifications that when we go live, like we will be live Friday again, yours truly here, evil Bill Brown over here at JitCAD will be hosting Friday's free support session as well. But if you guys learned something new, want to see something in particular, or just want to buy me a beer or a steak, we've also been requested to put lobster on the menu, per my wife. But you guys can do so with the link down below. Again, you guys have a great one. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And you all know Fusion Phil and Evil Bill over here at JitCAD. And we're here to help you in any way we can. And we look forward to seeing you guys on Friday. Have a good one.